What up, YouTube? Here with a review video for Clash at the Castle, Scotland 2024. This is how I do my wrestling reviews. I give every match that happened on the card a rating out of a 5, and at the end of the review, I will give a overall pay-per-view rating out of a 10. Now, that is how my wrestling review videos are structured. And with that being said, let's get to it. The opening contest at this year's Clash at the Castle was for the WWE Universal title, Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles in the I Quit match. And it had this stipulation going towards this match because this was not only a rematch from Backlash a month ago, or was it? No, it was 2 months ago, I believe, if I got the date correct. We saw Styles challenge Rhodes for the WWE Universal title, and they had a good back and forth match where Cody Rhodes ended up victorious and successfully defended his WWE Universal title versus AJ Styles in a hard fought match. And then Styles, I believe, was off air for a while, and then he made a return on TV a few weeks ago on SmackDown, and he pulled a Mark Henry, I believe, if I got the date correct, back in 2011 with Mark Henry at that fake retirement speech. And then that was for him to skip the line, to sort of say, for him to be able to get a shot at the WWE title versus John Cena. And we saw a similar play on SmackDown a few weeks ago where AJ Styles faked a retirement for him to skip the line to have him be able to challenge for the WWE Universal title and skip the line, to sort of say. And Cody Rhodes, because he fell for that okie doke, Cody Rhodes was out there paying his respects to AJ Styles when AJ Styles had made it seem as if he was going to retire. And because Cody Rhodes felt got, that's why this match at the Clash at the Castle seemed more personal, had more interest of conflict than their first match at Backlash. And that's why this match had a I Quit match. And how this match played out, it displayed the physical expectations to a I Quit match and the gimmick that the I Quit match has and the reputation that the I Quit match has earned throughout the years whenever there was a I Quit match in professional wrestling history. And this match lived up to its expectations, and it was a good opening contest. To have a match of this magnitude for the richest award in the professional wrestling industry and a big stadium event, and I gotta give shout outs to WWE for them globally expanding and not being so much of a domestic company as WWE has been known to be. And them having these pay-per-view events outside of the United States once a year gives it that big pay-per-view feel. And that's why the WWE is able to get these successful events that have almost a WrestleMania, a SummerSlam, a Royal Rumble type of feel, even though it's a filler pay-per-view event before these four big conglomerate pay-per-views such as WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and the Royal Rumble. It's because they have these once-a-year events outside of where WWE events are normally hosted at. And a contest like this match and the stipulation that was for this match to open a event is a good pace setter for the fans to be hyped for the rest of the show. And I would say it was the proper opening contest as well, because looking at the match card approaching this event that happened yesterday at the Clash at the Castle, it was lined up perfectly when it came to the match order. And as I had said, it was the appropriate opening contest because of that reason, and it seemed fitting to have this as the opening contest at a stadium pay-per-view event such as this event. And the WWE has upped their game, to sort of say, when it comes to putting more effort into making pay-per-views seem like pay-per-view events, which the wrestling industry has been missing that element for a while until recent. And the results of this match was Cody Rhodes came out victorious, and he was able to successfully defend his WWE Universal title by defeating AJ Styles yet again. And now Cody Rhodes got AJ Styles to say "I quit" was when AJ Styles was cuffed to the ropes, and it was AJ Styles who introduced the cuffs into play during the midst of the match, and he had Cody Rhodes cuffed up at one point and was assaulting Cody Rhodes at will. And when Cody Rhodes managed to escape and was able to catch AJ Styles by throwing a chair at him, when AJ Styles was looking to hit the phenomenal forearm on it, was seen to be a defenseless Cody Rhodes, and he had a chain wrapped around his forearm for him to have that extra when he was looking to hit Rhodes with the phenomenal forearm. And both wrestlers was bloody throughout this match. We saw Cody Rhodes, after he had got brainbustered onto the announcer tables, he had a cut above his eyebrow. And AJ Styles, after Cody Rhodes hit the crossroads, when he hit multiple crossroads on the AJ Styles, but when Rhodes hit his final crossroads onto the steel chair, AJ Styles also was bleeding from the forehead. And Cody Rhodes, he had gave AJ Styles a taste of his own medicine by cuffing AJ Styles to the ropes, and he started to hit AJ Styles with weapons that was available to him as sight. And Cody Rhodes got AJ Styles to say "I quit" after Cody Rhodes was attempting to hit AJ Styles with the steel steps, and before Rhodes can execute what he had planned to do, AJ Styles had said "I quit." Therefore, Cody Rhodes was the winner of this match, and I'll give this match a rating of a 4 out of a 5. It was a excellent match, and it had good action, good back and forth action throughout the match. And I like how the aftermath of this match played out as well. After Cody Rhodes had defeated AJ Styles, he had struck in AJ Styles with that steel step that he was gonna hit Styles with before Styles had said he had quit. And Cody Rhodes looked to his mom, who was ringside watching this event, and AJ Styles was taunting and talking crap to Cody Rhodes' mother, who was watching this. And that's the typical cheap heat that a heel can get easily when it comes to heels attempting to get the crowd to go against whoever that heel may be, and AJ Styles did what we saw The Rock do, involving Cody Rhodes' mother during the match. And Cody Rhodes, because he had knew that AJ Styles was talking crap to his moms, hence why Cody Rhodes looked at his mother after he had won this match to see if he got the green light to strike AJ Styles with those steel steps. And then Cody Rhodes' mother said, go for it. And then AJ Styles got struck in with that steel steps. And then Cody Rhodes, when he was looking to exit the arena after a successful defense of that WWE Universal title, Solo Sikoa, who has taken charge as the head of the table during Roman Reigns' current absence, came out to sarcastically, I can say that because Solo Sikoa, obviously with the past history with Cody Rhodes and the Bloodline, if Solo Sikoa, who has been the enforcer and is the leader of the Bloodline right now, is obviously going to be sarcastically congratulating Cody Rhodes, who he does not have a good relationship with. And it's been talked about because Solo Sikoa has been receiving this big push as of recently. He's always had a big push ever since he came onto the main roster, but now his push is more in progress and is arising at a very fast pace. And it's been talked about that he could potentially be next in line to challenge for that WWE Universal title, and the next pay-per-view is Money in the Bank. And from the looks of it, it can lead to that match for that WWE Universal title with Rhodes and Sikoa. And when Sikoa snuck up on Rhodes, fake congratulating Cody Rhodes on his victory, Cody Rhodes had caught on to that and gave a cold stare to Solo Sikoa, and Sikoa ain't like that. And Sikoa had intentions, pre-motives on why he came out during the end of Cody Rhodes' celebration, because Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa came out to assault Cody Rhodes along with Solo Sikoa before Cody Rhodes could exit out the building. And then to even out the numbers came out Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, who's been at it with this new edition of the Bloodline ever since WrestleMania and Backlash. And Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton was able to fight off the Bloodline. And then after they fought off the Bloodline, they were celebrating them fighting off the Bloodline. Then Randy Orton gave a look of interest at Cody Rhodes' WWE Universal title. And that's also been a match talked about amongst many wrestling fans. And that's that match with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. And right now, because Cody Rhodes is the current WWE Universal Champion, and most likely if Solo Sikoa is the next challenger to challenge for that WWE Universal title, which Cody Rhodes would be the favorite to come out victorious in that bout, then at SummerSlam, a match like that would be of a SummerSlam magnitude. The history that both Rhodes and Orton share with each other, that can be a storyline worthy of a main event match at this year's SummerSlam. And that's been talked about for a while now. And they could create a intriguing storyline out of those two having a possible match for the WWE Universal title. And then the next match on the card we saw was a three-way for the women's tag team titles. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair was defending their tag team titles versus the Unholy Union, who is from Scotland, which I did not know about, and Zoe Starks and Shayna Baszler. And this match was alright. I'll give this match a rating of a 3 out of a 5. It was a regular, basic back and forth match, and I say that with all due respect. I'm not trying to sound disrespectful when I say this was a regular, basic match. And surprisingly, but not that surprisingly, because this year's Clash at the Castle was hosted in Scotland, people could expect for the hometown gals to come out victorious in this match for fan reasons. And that's exactly what we saw. The Unholy Union was the winners in this three-way match and are the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. And I'll give this match a rating of a 3 out of a 5. You saw decent action, good back and forth action, good pace throughout this match. A few slip-ups, few botches here and there, but overall it was decent. It was okay. I can say that. And I'll give it a fair rating of a 3 out of a 5. And the Unholy Union won this match in a typical cliche heel cheap fashion, because they picked up on the scraps that Cargill and Belair had left, and they took advantage of Belair and Cargill being on a roll, and they were able to pick up the scraps when Cargill and Belair was about to finish up their onslaught on Starks and Baszler. And then out of nowhere, the Unholy Union took the scraps that was left at the hands of Belair and Cargill. And probably the next pay-per-view or till SummerSlam, probably going to see Cargill and Belair and the Unholy Union and whatever else tag teams out there competing for this women's tag team titles. And I'm not going to say the tag team titles is a bad look, because the WWE women's roster is stacked, and it gives females that's not competing for the singles titles to stay relevant in the scene while they're not competing for the main titles. That's why it's not a bad look. And because it's more stacked when compared to before, that's why I believe it's still a good reason as to why the women's tag team titles is still a thing. Because I know a lot of people has been talking about the tag team titles in the women's division is unnecessary, and that's because the tag teams that form and compete for this title seems to be a random union, and it doesn't make sense when they have these tag teams created to give them something to do. And they did a bad job at making it seem not so obvious. That's where a lot of the criticism came from. as far as the tag team division and the women's department goes. But anyways, the next match on the card we saw was for the Intercontinental title. Sami Zayn defending his Intercontinental title versus Chad Gable yet again. And in this match, we saw Sami Zayn successfully defend his Intercontinental title in a hard-fought match. And I'll give this match a rating of a 3.5 out of a 5. And I like the finish to this match. We saw Chad Gable, who had the upper hand, but he was distracted at Otis's decision because during the latter end of the match, we saw Chad Gable push, I believe, Sami Zayn, if my memory serves me correct, towards Otis, and then Otis bumped into Maxine, and then Maxine, whose ankles was already hurt, fell, which affected her ankle again, and she was agonizing ringside, and that distracted Otis when Chad Gable, the coach of Otis, was instructing Otis to do this and do that for Chad Gable, which was a thing throughout the entirety of the match until the end when Otis had enough of his mentor's barking and picked up Maxine by his arms to help aid her to get to the back to have her injuries taken care of. And Chad Gable was distracted at that, and he continued to bark at Otis for Otis to come back to help aid him secure a victory versus Sami Zayn for him to become Intercontinental Champion. And it's been a thing how this storyline has been building up, that Chad Gable had got this passion and this zeal for him to be eager to capture his first singles title as a professional wrestler, which he still hasn't been able to accomplish. And that's been eating him alive. And how the announcers have broke it down was that Chad Gable, his recent actions has a lot to do with his hunger for him to be Intercontinental Champion. And he's took on this tough leader role. He's already been the mastermind for the Alpha Academy, but because his failures to capture the Intercontinental title, which he's been chasing for a while now, has led up to this explosion due to that frustration and how it seems and how the announcers are framing it to be is that he's taking it out on the Alpha Academy, and how Gable is making it seem as tough love for the betterment of the Alpha Academy. But we've seen Gable use underhanded tactics and use Otis and Akira Tozawa and even Maxine when he can to take the fall for him, and he will take any opportunity that arises for him to take advantage and get the upper hand on the current Intercontinental Champion. And when Gable was still yelling at Otis to get Otis's attention while Otis was walking away, Sami Zayn took advantage of that. Gable was already in the corner, got hit with the Haluma kick, and that's what led Sami Zayn to retain his Intercontinental title. And the action in this match was top-tier wrestling we saw, and out of these two performers, we're bound to see a clinic of a wrestling match, and that's exactly what we saw out of these two. And then the next match on the card we saw was for the women's title, Bayley defending her women's title versus Piper Niven. And I believe Piper Niven, she's from Scotland as well. And she's been competing in the tag team division for a while. And she's been partnering with Chelsea Green. It's like the yin and yang duo where Chelsea Green talks a lot of crap and Piper Niven backs up Green's talking by action. And that's been the duo's thing. That's how they were able to stay relevant throughout the scene. And it made sense for Niven to get a title shot versus Bayley because Clash at the Castle was held in Scotland and her being from Scotland. And as I said, we saw Unholy Union, who are from Scotland, and then now Piper Niven, who's also from Scotland, and Drew McIntyre being from Scotland as well. And all three Scottish wrestlers got to have a title shot. That's why it makes sense for this match to happen. And if y'all been watching SmackDown in their recent episodes, Niven has been going at it with Bayley. And that's what led to this match. And this match was a good wrestling match. We saw a good back and forth action, good pace out of these two wrestlers who both Bayley and Niven can work. And we saw an example, a good display of that yesterday at Clash at the Castle. And Bayley got the win after hitting from what it seemed like a corkscrew rose plant. And that's how Bayley was able to retain her WWE Women's title. And I'll give this match a rating of a 3.5 out of a 5. It was solid. And we saw Chelsea Green, after she got kicked out of being ringside because she caused distractions, she physically got involved in this match as well. She put a mask on and she tried to trick the referee that way. And she still was barking at Bayley, cheerleading Niven to gas her up and amp her and give her extra energy to get going throughout the match. And then obviously the referee took notice of that and got Chelsea Green out of there. And that's what led to it being one-on-one with Bayley and Niven. And as I said, Niven, she's had title shots in the past before. She's obviously showing her capability of being able to perform as a wrestler. And the current character she got right now works. And it was a good look at. And it made sense as well that she got a title shot at a pay-per-view for the women's title. And future is promising if she's able to perform matches like this at big events like this, and a match of that magnitude. And when executing a performance better than expected, then that's when the future looks bright for wrestlers that are able to pull that off. And then the next match on the card we saw was for the World Heavyweight title. Damian Priest defending his World Heavyweight title versus Drew McIntyre. And this was Drew McIntyre's first pay-per-view main event in his hometown of Scotland. And Drew McIntyre main evented the first Clash at the Castle, which was hosted in Wales. It's a part of the UK like Scotland is, but it isn't technically Scotland, which is exactly where Drew McIntyre is from. So this was like a revenge match opportunity for Drew McIntyre from his first failure at capturing the WWE Universal title versus Roman Reigns at the first Clash at the Castle. And it was his chance to avenge what had happened to him at WrestleMania, because after Drew McIntyre defeated Seth Rollins to become the World Heavyweight Champion, he had gotten the face of CM Punk, as many of y'all know, and after he got finished taunting CM Punk, who was doing play-by-play announcement duties ringside during his match versus Seth Rollins, CM Punk swept up Drew McIntyre by the feet and started assaulting Drew McIntyre, and then that's what led to Damian Priest, who was the holder of the Money in the Bank contract at that time, and that's what led him to successfully be able to cash in that Money in the Bank contract to walk out of WrestleMania as the new World Heavyweight Champion. And in full circle, we saw that lead to this main event match at Clash at the Castle, which we saw yesterday. And the result of this match, Damian Priest was able to successfully defeat Drew McIntyre and retain the World Heavyweight Championship. And I'll give this match a rating of a 4 out of a 5. And I'm being very generous when it comes to that match rating. I was going to give it a 3.5 out of 5, but it was well orchestrated, well produced, and well organized. And the end was expected. If y'all go check out my latest, most recent Talk Wrestling video, where I'll give y'all my review to Backlash, King and Queen of the Ring, I did say that for the future, because I had finished that episode of Talk Wrestling, the most recent episode of Talk Wrestling. By the way, if y'all haven't tapped into that yet, go tap into that. It would be much appreciated. And I said, because it was close to the date of Clash at the Castle, and it was already announced that Drew McIntyre would be challenging Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight title at the main event of Clash at the Castle. And it made sense because Drew McIntyre didn't get a chance to get back that World Heavyweight title, which he lost at WrestleMania. And also because this match was being held in Scotland and Drew McIntyre being from there, and that made it more of a giveaway as to why it makes sense for this to be the main event for this year's Clash at the Castle. And I said, I don't think Drew McIntyre is gonna walk away out of Clash at the Castle as World Heavyweight Champion, because CM Punk is gonna get involved. Now I don't know the details when it comes to CM Punk's injury. I don't know the status. I know he hurt his forearm, but I don't know if he's cleared to wrestle again, and I don't know the due date of when he's gonna be off of the injury list and he's gonna be able to compete again. I don't know that. And CM Punk, the last time we saw him on Raw, he wasn't wearing a cast to support his injured arm. And when we saw him at Clash at the Castle, spoiler for those of y'all that haven't seen any clips of Clash at the Castle, and letting y'all know that CM Punk made an interference in this match. And he played a big part of this match in continuation of that rivalry that Punk has versus McIntyre. And McIntyre and Punk have this unmeasurable hate for each other, and it's intensified, especially after what had occurred at WrestleMania. And now it's going to be more on fire after what had happened at Clash at the Castle yesterday. I did say if Punk is clear to compete by SummerSlam, we should be able to get Punk versus McIntyre at SummerSlam. And how this story has been building, it would for sure be SummerSlam appropriate and a match of a SummerSlam magnitude. And with the notoriety that a wrestler like Punk has, he can end the status that a guy like McIntyre has. That is a top-notch rivalry. It's a rivalry that, if done right, which WWE has done a good job at building this rivalry, it can be a WrestleMania match worthy rivalry. It could be a, they put enough emphasis, which they don't need to, because what they got going on as of right now with Punk and McIntyre is arguably the best rivalry that the WWE has got going on right now. And Punk, he wasn't wearing a cast. He was able to do a referee count. I don't know if he was using his injured arm or not, but when he was doing the count, he had no problem counting and counting with authority. And that happened because the referee got taken out of action when accidentally Damian Priest splashed him against the corner, and that's what led the referee out of action. And then when McIntyre had to Claymore for a second time, there was no referee to count that win that McIntyre would have had if there had been a referee. And then that's what led CM Punk there, because McIntyre was overzealous and eager, as his character has made a reputation out of those acts that McIntyre has put on. Not even recently, but in the past, it's been more displayed as of recent. And McIntyre was focused on the count and him walking out of Clash at the Castle victorious as the new World Heavyweight Champion. Then came CM Punk, and then when he had realized that it was CM Punk and not a official referee, he had this look of as if all and everything dropped and he had nothing to say. He had seen his arch nemesis, CM Punk, yet again screwing him, possibly out of yet another opportunity of Drew McIntyre being the World Heavyweight Champion. He cost him at WrestleMania. If Punk wouldn't have assaulted McIntyre after McIntyre had taunted him, and what many would say had asked for by taunting Punk the way he did, but McIntyre had made it seem as if he had learned from that lesson. And even though it isn't necessary and it wasn't called for, because really to put it in terms, technically say, McIntyre didn't put his hands on Punk. He didn't assault Punk for Punk to defend himself. He was talking crap. He might have got too close to Punk, but he didn't physically touch Punk for Punk to touch him. And Punk, he can talk too, but I guess it got past the point of talking once McIntyre had told Punk what he had told Punk. And then on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, we saw Punk cost Drew McIntyre a shot at the World Heavyweight title when it was, I believe, Jey Uso and Bronson Reed and Drew McIntyre in a three-way match to determine who was going to have a title shot versus Damian Priest at Backlash. And Punk, when McIntyre seemed as if he had the match won, cost McIntyre a title shot at the world title. And on recent episodes of Monday Night Raw, whenever Punk made an appearance, it'd be to mess with Drew McIntyre. And then he did it yet again yesterday at Clash at the Castle. And McIntyre's focus went from him walking out of Clash at the Castle as a new World Heavyweight Champion to, it's this guy again. That's what we saw during that scene at the main event of this year's Clash at the Castle. And then after that, Damian Priest was able to recover, and Damian Priest was able to hit his finisher to get the win over on a distracted, off his game Drew McIntyre. And that's obviously going to possibly lead to yet another match with Priest and McIntyre for the World Heavyweight title. And obviously when Punk is clear to compete again, he's going to be wrestling Drew McIntyre, and that's going to be the first rivalry CM Punk is going to indulge in when he's going to be able to wrestle again. And as far as the overall pay-per-view, this was a good pay-per-view event. And I'll give this Clash at the Castle Scotland a overall pay-per-view rating of a 8 out of a 10. It was a solid, good wrestling show overall from top to bottom. And Damian Priest, he's been trying to prove that he can do it on his own, and he is his own man. And not only that, he's the leader of the Judgment Day. And we saw at Backlash, his Judgment Day brethren made a interference on his behalf during his title defense versus Jey Uso, and Damian Priest seemed disappointed at his Judgment Day members by making the interference, but not really the interference part. He voiced that on Raw after Backlash, but he stopped his Judgment Day members from attacking Jey Uso after he had successfully defended his World Heavyweight title. And he's been showing disagreements and him trying to take leadership of the Judgment Day. And in this match, leading up to it, it was announced that Damian Priest wouldn't have the Judgment Day get involved during his match versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight title. And it's been talked about amongst wrestling fans and the dirt sheets that we can possibly see Damian Priest split from the Judgment Day, or a split amongst the Judgment Day. We're seeing Dominic Mysterio, in the absence of Rhea Ripley, do his own thing. He in his own program with Liv Morgan right now, and I don't know if Liv Morgan is gonna be a part of the Judgment Day, or when Rhea Ripley is able to compete again as a wrestler. And right now, even though she can do managerial things, if she was to be on TV while recuperating from her injuries, but whenever Rhea Ripley comes back, is what Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio got currently going on going to play a part to that? Because how Dominic Mysterio got involved with Liv Morgan in the first place is because Liv Morgan wanted vengeance on Rhea Ripley for Rhea Ripley putting Liv Morgan on the injury shelf. And now that Rhea Ripley's injured, and Liv Morgan, as her way to get back at Rhea Ripley, is to go after her man, Dominic Mysterio. And Dominic Mysterio has been fighting on the behalf of Rhea Ripley by attempting to make sure Liv Morgan doesn't get her hands on the title that she currently holds right now, that being the Women's World title. And Dominic Mysterio, by mistake, helped aid Liv Morgan get the Women's World title versus Becky Lynch at the last pay-per-view before Clash at the Castle at King and Queen of the Ring. And now Liv Morgan is messing with Dominic Mysterio, and yet at the same time Liv Morgan is still playing the role of Rhea Ripley that Rhea Ripley was playing for Dominic Mysterio as Dominic's shield of protection. And this is causing a question with multiple scenarios that could play out of this program that the Judgment Day is currently involved in. And then, as we know, Carlito as well, he's been a new, not official new addition to the Judgment Day, but he's associated with them because he's trying to prove himself. He's attempting to show that he's worthy of being an official member of the Judgment Day. And then with Balor and McDonough, they're more of a tag team. And those three guys, Carlito, Balor, and McDonough, are more with Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio, as Dominic Mysterio is trying to carry on with what Rhea Ripley had going on with Ripley's absence. And then those three guys that I mentioned about before I got to Dominic Mysterio is helping Damian Priest and is following the leadership of Damian Priest. But is there going to be more clashes within the Judgment Day for a rumor bout with Balor versus Priest for the World Heavyweight title in the future? Gotta wait and see how it plays out. Usually around this time at SummerSlam, WWE likes to turn up their programs, and they tend to put on good storylines for that SummerSlam event. So we'll wait and see as spectators, fans, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking forward to the next pay-per-view, which is Money in the Bank. Ladder matches are one of my favorite matches. When it comes to all of professional wrestling, it's never a dull moment. Always expect highlight reel spots out of Money in the Bank or any and all ladder matches. And that's why Money in the Bank pay-per-views are usually one of more entertaining pay-per-views in WWE, because ladder matches are fun and looking forward to it. Expecting it to be almost as good, if not just as good, if not better than Clash at the Castle was, because as I said, 8 out of 10, that is a high rating, and it's going to be hard to top that, and that is a very high score. And if Money in the Bank exceeds its expectations and scores a rating something like that, then the WWE can set a tone for SummerSlam. And those pay-per-views, SummerSlam, I say, is the next biggest pay-per-view after WrestleMania. And WWE, obviously, without a shadow of a doubt, has the best pay-per-view quality-wise as well. And if WrestleMania is the biggest wrestling event in all of pro wrestling, and SummerSlam being next to WrestleMania, then SummerSlam is obviously the next biggest pay-per-view event in all of pro wrestling as well. And as I said, around this time WWE puts on better products, better storylines, and better quality wrestling, and overall better show around summertime. And that's why I'm looking forward to seeing what the WWE is going to be able to produce for this summer. Anyways, with that being said, that does it for this Clash at the Castle Scotland review video. Subscribe to this channel for more content. And if y'all like this video, y'all could click the thumbs up or the share button. And y'all could click the links in the description as well to show y'all support for this channel. Anything and all things would be appreciated. And I'm out of here, y'all. Be good and peace.